What's up everyone and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Abby Aslin and I post college and lifestyle related videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, so it's a pretty good time around here. You should go ahead and subscribe and stick around for more videos in the future. Today I'm going to be doing a study tips slash how to make the best grades slash study with me, because I didn't know what approach I wanted to use in doing a study with me video. I didn't want to just have a long clip of me sitting there studying. So I decided to incorporate some of the tips I have for studying and things that truly help me to get the best grades possible with as much effort as I put in. Be sure to give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it and if it helped you out any, and leave any of your study tips down below to help everyone else and myself out. And let's just go ahead and get started into the tips, and then we will have the study with me at the end. So my first tip is to have a clean workspace and a clean area. And when I say clean area, I mean like a bedroom if you're going to be studying in your room. I feel very cluttered in my mind and everything if my whole room is cluttered and just doesn't look well. So for me, it's really important to make sure my room is clean. Going along with that, making sure your bed is made, because I know in high school I never made my bed. So every time I would study or do homework, I would just go into my bed because it was so welcoming since it was unmade, and I would end up not being as productive there since I was just sitting in bed. And then having a clean workspace is really important. If I'm sitting and working at my desk, which I do majority of the time, I have to make sure that the desktop is clean, that I don't have anything unnecessary on top of my desk. I generally just have my cup of coffee, my laptop, my planner, and whatever subject I'm working on, and then occasionally I'll also have my water bottle or my bag of pens and pencils that I need to use. My next tip is to be comfortable. Don't study in something you're not comfortable studying in. Like right now I'm just wearing a t-shirt and some pajama pants, so that's just what I'm studying in. If you are a coffee or a tea drinker, I highly recommend getting you a cup of that. If it's late at night, maybe just get some decaf so you have the illusion that you're drinking coffee and being productive. But honestly and truly, when I have a cup of coffee at my desk while I'm studying, I do 10 times better and I'm way more productive. One, because I'm drinking it, and two, I just feel like I can get a lot more done if I have something there to sip on for some reason. So next tip is to sort of have a designated area for homework and a designated area for studying. For studying, you can have multiple places. Sometimes if I'm just having to read over something or do flashcards, I'll sit on our couch. But if I'm having to write a lot of things down or do a lot of math or something like that, I am typically always at my desk. And you can also have a designated coffee shop or library to go to. A lot of times I'll go to a coffee shop and just sit there and study, which is a great thing to do because you are a lot more productive and have a lot less distraction. But definitely separate your homework and your study space, because when you're doing homework, you're normally in more of a passive mindset, and whenever you're doing studying, you're a lot more engaged and you need to be more focused. So it's important to be in an area where you continuously do that. I typically do my homework either sitting on the couch or at the little bar in our kitchen, and then for studying I will typically be at my desk or at a coffee shop. My next tip, I feel like it's common sense, but a lot of people just don't take advantage of what their teachers give them. It's super important to take advantage of the study guides, worksheets, extra problems, or practice tests that your teachers give you. I know in my finance class we were given practice problems and practice tests to do in preparation for the exam, and they're extremely similar to the exam, and I always do them until I have mastered them. And that really helps me to go into the test not only confident that I know the material, but also familiar with what I see on the test. My next tip is to put when you're going to study in your planner and that you need to study in your planner. I feel like whenever you are able to check off that you have studied, it is just a much better feeling, and having it in your planner, you're more likely to get it done and you will just remember to do it and not forget to study for a test you have coming up. I think finding any playlist on Spotify or Apple Music is really a great stimulant for when you study, to have it in the background, and it just kind of eliminates any background noise. My favorite ones I will either have linked down below or I'll show y'all, but I typically like to listen to jazz or classical music or super chill alternative music that's very slow, or I will listen to this playlist called Chill Night Drives, but I typically only listen to that one if I'm doing homework, because sometimes if I know the songs that are playing, if I know them really well, I'll sit there and I'll be thinking about the song and the lyrics and stuff instead of what I'm actually studying for. My next tip is to figure out whether you are a morning or a nighttime study person. I feel like typically at night I'm a lot more productive for some reason, but if I do wake up early, I can get so much more done. But if I just wake up in my normal time, it normally takes me 4 hours to actually get started studying. But if I wake up before everyone else is up and before anyone's on social media or texting me or something, I can get a lot done because I'm not distracted by my phone. But I will pretty much always be more productive at night, and just figure out which one you are. or wake up early the morning of a test and review everything. I think that if you study a week in advance and then the night before just glance over everything and then glance over everything again the morning of the test, it just makes you golden. Glancing over things in the morning is so helpful and so underrated. And my last and final tip is to make a study guide or use index cards to just write down concepts and formulas. Like I know for my econ test and my finance test, in addition to doing the practice test and practice problems, I will always outline all of the material on notebook paper, and I'll show you all how I do that with my Study With Me. And I do this for every single class except for one. If you have a class that's strictly vocabulary, just use Quizlet or something, and it's like multiple choice. Those are like the easiest tests ever when they're just vocabulary and multiple choice. Don't waste your time, just make Quizlets or flashcards with those. As far as classes with conceptual information and formulas and just things that need a lot more deeper understanding where you actually need to know what's going on, I think that making an outline is the most helpful thing ever, whether you're using your notes, the textbook, or just going through the practice test and even outlining questions on the practice test. For finance, I will literally go through in order of the questions and work each of the practice problems that are going to be on the test, and I will work them in order, and then I will write out the steps to solve them, and then that way I can, one, see how it's done, and then two, see the formula that I have to use for doing it. And then if there's any conceptual stuff related to the question, I will also write that down under that question. And then in my intermediate micro class, I will pretty much do the same thing, just go through the practice test and outline based on the practice test and based on our notes from class. And I will sit there and just outline everything, write down any vocabulary or concepts that I need to know, and then write down formulas. And as far as working problems go, I will always work the problem, write the formula used, and then write the steps used to solve the problem so that you have everything there in front of you whenever you look at your outline. My last and final tip, I think I might have said that the last tip was the last tip, but this is actually the last tip. Make sure that you are not cramming, because when you cram, you don't learn anything. All you do is memorize it for short term. But if you start studying for a test at least a week out, you will be good, and you'll be a lot less stressed if you do a little bit of studying at a time instead of spending an entire day studying, which can be a lot more stressful, and you're way more likely to remember everything. And those are all of the tips, so let's just go ahead and roll into the Study With Me portion, and I'm going to show you all how I do my study guides. The pen I use when I write is just this black Bic Atlantis pen. I really love how smooth they write. It's what I used all on this page, and I always use it to take notes in class. And essentially I will use one color of these highlighters. These are the Zebra mild liners. And then I will color coordinate with one of my Papermate Inkjoy gel pens, and I just color coordinated with a highlighter. And basically I will just write at the top of the page what subject it is, or the main idea or focus of what the test is on is, and then I'll write like what test it is. So I'll write that in pen and then outline it in highlighter just to make it look somewhat presentable. And then I will write with the Inkjoy pen the main idea, or if it's formulas, I will just put that down. This is pretty much just a formula page for my econ class. It literally just has a ton of formula. And I just highlighted each formula and then outlined whatever the formula was with the Inkjoy pen, and then that's just like a sample page. And then I just have some like concepts I needed to know, and I highlighted the main things of each concept or vocabulary word, and I just do that throughout. And here's an example of what I'm doing for the test this time around, and this is just some concepts I need to know and like a graph and some other concepts. And as you can see, I just kind of use the pen to outline any main idea, and then use my black pen to write all the details of it. And then this right here is an example of me having a problem to work, and with the problem I write down the formulas I have to use, and then right here you can see I did a sample problem and wrote down the steps I needed to use to solve the problem, and then I always outline the answer in whatever color pen I'm using. Here's just an example of the rest of it. It's just the same kind of thing over and over again. So yeah, that's just a general overview of what my outlines typically look like. It's a little bit different for each class, and some classes won't really have as many formulas and will have more concepts, or maybe they'll have more word problems than the other. And we can just go ahead and get started with the Study With Me portion.